What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian from House of Wrestling, and this is my review for the December 10th pay-per-view Ring of Honor Final Battle. Yes, Ring of Honor Final Battle. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that you're notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content on YouTube. Follow House of Wrestling also on all social media platforms at House of Wrestling. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and give this video a thumbs up on YouTube. Man, oh man, this Ring of Honor pay-per-view, man, this was a pleasure to watch. This was fun to watch. Just like the title for this video, this was wrestling, not wrestling, wrestling. Man, from the 0 hour to the conclusion of this pay-per-view, man, this was a very fun, very well-paced show where it didn't feel like it was too long, and it didn't feel like, oh man, this is dragging. Oh man, like, no, this was a really good show, and got a bunch of new world champions. That's always fun when you get new world champions. It's the last pay-per-view of the year for Ring of Honor and AEW, since it's owned under Tony Khan. You can't ask anything better than that, man. This is fun. I did hear some things in the post-media scrum as far as the Ring of Honor TV deal. I'm not going to comment on this video in regards to that, because there's still some stuff that I got to make sure that are correct and everything like that, and just listen to the medium scrum and hear it from TK himself, and just, I might do another video, or just I don't know. I might do something with it, but apparently we're going to get something on the Honor Club, and there's probably going to be an announcement after the second Dynamite in Los Angeles. So all I got to say is stay tuned. Next month, we're going to get some info on where Ring of Honor will be streaming or airing, whatever you want to call it. So I'm looking forward to it, but like I always do, let me give you guys the results before I get into this pay-per-view. So, in the 0 hour, you had Jeff Cobb defeat Mascara Dorada. That was a fun match. Always fun to watch Jeff Cobb. Man, oh man. I remember what was the first match I seen him in? I believe it was Wrestle Kingdom 2021. Man, that was a good match. And always pleasure. And I seen him in person wrestle, like, man, it's so much fun. Then in the second match, you had Daddy Magic, and Cool Hand defeat Shinobi Shadow Squad. Then you had Willow Nightingale defeat Trish Adora, and you had Top Flight defeat The Kingdom, which was a really cool match. Then for the pay-per-view, you had AR Fox and Blake Christian defeat Rush and Dralistico. That was a really weird finish to that match, which I'll get into a little bit later. We had Athena defeat Mercedes Martinez to become the new Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. We had Swerve in Our Glory defeat Shane Taylor Promotions. Really interesting developments coming out of that match. We had Gates of Agony and Brian Cage defeat Dalton Castle and the Boys to become the new Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champions. We had Wheeler Yuta defeat Daniel Garcia for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. We had the Briscoes defeat FTR in the double dog collar match and become the new Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. These two teams have 3 matches that are Match of the Year candidates by far. Then we had Ring of Honor. We had Samoa Joe. He defeated Juice Robinson to retain his Ring of Honor Television Championship. And then in the main event, you had Claudio Castagnoli defeat Chris Jericho to become the new Ring of Honor World Champion. That means Chris Jericho is no longer the champion. Yes. I'm so happy about that. No, but that was a really good main event. So that is the results for Ring of Honor's Final Battle pay-per-view. What else can I say, man? This was a really good card. And honestly, looking at this match, or this card, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You had 8 matches on the pay-per-view, and you had 4 matches on the 0 hour, which is a total of 12 matches. Didn't even feel like 12 matches. That's how good this pay-per-view was. Well paced. If you haven't seen it, or you're skeptical, like, well, this isn't like the old Ring of Honor, and well, I don't know because they don't have a regular TV deal, and of course, most of the Ring of Honor guys appear on AEW TV, and they don't have their own show. But this was a very good pay-per-view, and I recommend you guys who haven't seen it, go get it, watch it, buy it, whatever you got to do. Watch this pay-per-view because this was a very entertaining pay-per-view, man. You will not be disappointed. If you are a wrestling fan and you just want to see matches that have stakes in them, and you just see these wrestlers go all out for those stakes, this is a pay-per-view. So enough of that. Let's get into this pay-per-view. So the first match, you had AR Fox and Blake Christian face Rush and Trilistico. This was a really cool match. It was cool to see AR Fox. He recently signed with AEW, and this match, he really showcased his stuff. And man, Rush, always with the green cable, then choking somebody out, whipping them, all that and everything. There was a point in the match where he threw Blake Christensen into every barricade at ringside. He threw him in one, then he threw him another one, then he threw him another one, then he threw him another one. He threw them all four, which I thought was pretty interesting. Then you had it was just basically a back and forth match of just really crazy moves, a lot of forearm exchanges and chops and everything between AR Fox and Rush. But the ending was really weird. So, the ending of this match, you had AR Fox execute a 450, and the ref is counting 1, 2, and you see I believe it was Dralistico. He lifts his shoulder like before the 3 count, but the ref still counts 3, and it was just really weird how that happened. When it happened, I was kind of concerned. I'm like, ooh, like, this is happening at the 0 hour. I hope this isn't a foreshadowing of what's going to happen for the pay-per-view. And thankfully, I was wrong about that. But yeah, it was just really weird to see that happen. The referee, he's like, no, it counted 3. What's interesting, I don't recall them playing a replay. So I'm going to go back and see if somebody has a clip or something floating around and watch it again. But yeah, the crowd, they were chanting, "You effed up, you effed up." So it was just a really weird way to start off the show, considering that it is a 0 hour, but it was a really weird way for the show to start. And like I said, I was thinking probably, those of you who were watching, we were probably thinking the same thing, like, man, this is a really weird way to start this pay-per-view off. So, but AR Fox and Blake Christian got the win. I do know that Rush, Trilistico, Jose the assistant, and Preston Vance, they did an interview. I haven't had a chance to watch it, so after this review, I'm going to go and watch and see what they said. So I wouldn't be surprised if this leads to a storyline between AR Fox and Blake Christensen against Rush, Trilistico, Preston Vance, and Jose the assistant. So I won't be surprised if that leads to that. And yeah, it leads to something, but just really weird how that was executed. So the second match, you had Athena versus Mercedes Martinez. Shout out to Athena. Man, she has had a run. And I would say the run she is having as far as matches, I'm not going to say it's the same, but it has similar parallels to when FTR went on their current run as champions. But when they first started, like just that run where it's like, ooh, man, okay, man, this momentum. And man, she's built up momentum in this match. There was at least 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. I know there was 3 Athena chants. Let's go Athena, let's go Athena. And it was weird because on AEW television, she's pretty much the heel, and she's been the heel for, I think, a month after her infamous match on AEW Dark Elevation against, I think, man, was it Jody Thread or something like that? And just really physical. And she's just adopted this very vicious, physical, no nonsense, step up, somewhat dismissive characteristic, but it's fun and it's entertaining. And this has to be probably one of, if not her best run so far in wrestling that I've seen. It just, when she comes out, there's a confidence. And in this match, her and Mercedes Martinez, there was just a fluidity, there was just a pacing. They clicked and everything was just boom, boom, boom. I recommend you guys watch this match. The confidence is at 100 with her. The execution, the little mannerisms, the characteristics, it's just like, okay, this is going to be fun. And man, that forearm she gives, man, she lays it in, man. So, beginning of the match, like I said, Athena, she was very vicious and physical. Then, later on in the match, you had Mercedes attempt to do a surfboard. And as she's about to pull Athena back, Athena grabs her arm and bites it, which I haven't seen that in a while. But that was a really cool way to get out of that move. Then there was a point in the match where Athena tore off one of the turnbuckle pads, and that came into play because eventually she wound up doing a drop kick to Mercedes, which Mercedes landed in the exposed turnbuckle, which allowed Athena to execute the O-face and get the pin. 1, 2, 3. She wins. She is the new Ring of Honor World Champion. She's been on a run, and this is going to be fun to see how this plays out and where this goes and who are going to be the challengers for Athena. And I don't know. I'm excited for this because she's had some really solid matches on AEW Dynamite, Rampage, Elevation. So this is going to be fun, and she's well deserved for this title. She's been, like I said, she's been on a run, and a lot of people are gravitating towards her run and her persona. And it's, on commentary, Big Show mentioned, and in this pay-per-view, Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman brought it up again. It's like she's found something, like she found it, and it's like you see it, and that's, as a wrestling fan, you can't help but get behind it because it's just like, this is fun. This is fun. Okay, let's go on this ride. Let's go on this ride to wherever this character is going to go, but this character knows who it is, where they're going, and what they want. And this is just like, ooh, man, this is so good. Then the next match you had Shane Taylor and JD Griffey versus Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee. This was a very interesting match. I love this match for the fact that I got to hear Shane Taylor's promotions entrance theme. Oh man, I love that entrance theme. And for him to come out, this was so cool. I hope he's signed to the Ring of Honor brand because, man, if they can bring back the Shane Taylor promotions and just put that together, because, man, I enjoyed Shane Taylor Promotions before it was bought by Tony Khan, because, man, that was a group that, at that time, so many people were like, man, I want to see them in, AEW or WWE, as a trio or as a group, just beating up people, and, they just had this aura and this presence that you just couldn't help but get behind. So, this match starts off with a bunch of Bask in Our Glory chants. Then you get Swerve's house chants. You get, there was a point in the match where there was a face-off between Swerve Strickland and Shane Taylor, or not Shane Taylor. It was Keith Lee and JD Griffey. And the crowd's chanting, "We want Shane, we want Shane." And JD Griffey tags in Shane Taylor. And for this brief moment, you have Keith Lee and Shane Taylor face to face, and that was a moment because it's just like, oh man, there's so much history here. And that's, shout out to Tony Khan and the Ring of Honor crew for putting those video packages of having the old clips of the feuds that happened on tonight's pay-per-view, and especially for this one because you saw footage of Keith Lee and Shane Taylor being a tag team, and bringing up how Keith Lee walked away from him, and just all this history. And it's like, man, this is cool. Like, if this is what Ring of Honor is going to be in the future, this is going to be really cool. It's going to be cool. It's going to be fun, and a lot of cool things are going to happen. And of course, as you reference the past, you're also building to the future, which eventually will have its own history, and really cool. I like that. So when we had the "We Want Shane" chants, then as soon as they're about to go to blows and everything, and try to do some moves and stuff like that, you get Swerve Strickland tags himself in, and then you have Shane Taylor and Swerve Strickland. But man, this was a solid match. For me, the moment of this match was Shane Taylor was on the second rope, and he attempted to do a cross body on Keith Lee, and Keith Lee caught him in midair. Now, if you've seen Shane Taylor, pretty big dude. Keith Lee, pretty big dude. In all my years of wrestling, I have never seen one big dude catch another big dude in midair. And he didn't stumble. He just caught him, boom, and just stayed still. Like, that was so impressive. And when that moment happened, I can tell you that for me, that's when the match just it went to another level, and just so much went on, man. It was so good. So you had that. Then you had Keith Lee attempting to do a moonsault. Then there was a point in the match where both teams were brawling. Then Keith Lee accidentally hit Swerve Strickland. And mind you, he didn't hit him once in this match. He accidentally hit him twice, which led to Swerve Strickland leaving the match, and then that led Keith Lee alone with Shane Taylor and JD Griffey. Keith Lee wound up getting the upper hand. He wound up executing his spinning slam on JD Griffey, pinned him 1, 2, 3. That was the match. So we still have this Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee storyline going, and thinking about it, I would not be surprised if that storyline culminates at Revolution. I would not be surprised. AEW Revolution. I would not be surprised if that match culminates there. But man, this was a fantastic match, man. Swerve Strickland and JD Griffey. Shout out to JD Griffey. For me, this was my first time seeing him. I know I've seen a few clips, but to see him in a match, man, that guy, the martial arts background that he has and how he executed him in the match, man, it was so cool, fun. Him and Swerve Strickland, they're back and forth. I enjoyed it, man. That was so entertaining. And of course, the one part of the match where, because there is a history between Keith Lee and JD Griffey, and JD Griffey dives over the top rope, and Keith Lee catches him, and JD Griffey's like, "Hey, man, don't do it. I'm going to tell mama, I'm going to tell mama, I'm going to tell mama, I'm going to tell mama." And Keith Lee puts him down. But man, he looked good. Shout out to Shane Taylor, man. He looked good in this match. I know he had an appearance in Impact Wrestling, but man, him and Keith Lee, just the fluidity, and just the power they displayed. And man, this was a fun match to watch. And you get Keith Lee winning, but of course, there's still a story to this match. And man, I'm looking forward to that Keith Lee Swerve Strickland match, because I think it's more so not only because of the story, but just the match style that you got Swerve Strickland, who's very quick, agile, uses agility to catch his opponent off guard. And then you got Keith Lee, who's power and very agile. And just that combination and just that matchup is going to be really interesting how that plays out, because, it's power against speed. And, is Swerve Strickland quick enough to get Keith Lee off his game? And, is Keith Lee going to just stop Swerve Strickland and his agility in its tracks and just dominate him? So it's the big question regarding that situation. Then we get Dalton Castle and the boys versus Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony, Toa Leone and Khan. Man, the Gates of Agony, that team those are some big dudes. They are some big dudes. And when I seen this match advertised, I'm like, there's no way Dalton Castle and the boys are winning this match. Like, there is no way this is happening. Just Brian Cage alone can take those guys on. But man, this was a very fun match. It was mostly dominated by Gates of Agony and Brian Cage, but the way Dalton Castle and the boys like work, man, I find it very entertaining. I mean, he was throwing the boys on through the ropes onto, was it Brian Cage and Tio Leone, and just the way they work, like, it's so entertaining. And I've always said that Dalton Castle, he reminds me of a modern day Lanny Poffo, the genius. Like, he reminds me of him, man. He so entertaining, but this match, they literally just got squashed. And I mean, it was to the point where Brian Cage was curling one of the boys. Like, he was just like damn, this match there's no way that this is over. So I mean, you had that. Then you had a certain point in the match where it was just back and forth. You had the boys, and mind you, they're more kind of like Swerve Strickland and I'm trying kind of like, I wouldn't say Mike Bailey, but more of the smaller guys that are very agile and use their athleticism, speed, drop kicks, try to get people off their game. But that was not working for the Gates of Agony and Brian Cage, because after that, back and forth, it was just over. So you had Brian Cage just do a freaking nasty clothesline on Dalton Castle. Then you had Khan and Tio Leone have one of the boys, and they did it was a pop-up power bomb that Brian Cage executed. 1, 2, 3. Gates of Agony and Brian Cage are the new Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champions. Shout out to Brian Cage. I mean, there was a lot of talk of him being out for close to a year. You know, is Tony Khan going to do anything with him in AEW? Tony Khan picks up the option with him, and he's got a title. So, I mean, it's a 6-man title, but, I mean, hopefully they do more with them. I was kind of anticipating Shane Taylor Promotions and Khan would have some interaction. Maybe we'll see that later on down the line, because, again, Khan was a part of Shane Taylor Promotions before, you know, the last Final Battle pay-per-view last year. So, I don't know. We'll see, but I'm really interested to see who the hell is going to try to, and I mean that very seriously, who the hell is going to try to take the titles off of Gates of Agony and Brian Cage. You know, looking at just the roster that they have assembled so far in Ring of Honor, like, the only way Gates of Agony and Brian Cage are going to lose those titles is if Brian Cage just goes rogue and forget this group. I can do my stuff on my own. That's the only way, because outside of that, there's not a trio that could defeat this team, unless maybe later on down the line you get Khan turn on Tio Leone and Brian Cage and he rejoined Shane Taylor Promotions, because Shane Taylor Promotions were the last trios champion. Just saying, before they lost it to Vincent and the Righteous. So, just saying. Then we had a backstage segment with Top Flight and Angelo Parker and Matt Menard. They battle. It is what it is. It's hard to say like how this was, because it led to them fighting in the ring. Then there's a point where Daddy Magic and Angelo Parker were in the ring, and they brought out the stupid hat that Jake Hager is wearing, and of course they were mentioning Claudio Castagnoli. You know, if he loses to Chris Jericho, he's got to wear that hat and join the JAS, which I can tell you, I wasn't the only one that was hoping and praying that Claudio beats Chris Jericho. We'll get into that a little bit later, because I did not want to see Claudio Castagnoli on TV with that stupid purple hat. It's like, no, please don't. Like, you brought him back at Forbidden Door. Do not put him in this situation. No. Then we get Wheeler Yuta versus Daniel Garcia. Man, This was a clinic. One thing I liked about this match was that Daniel Garcia really played into the pure rules. So one aspect of the pure rules, and I'll just give you a little version because for me it's very technical. But when they explain on TV, it's like, all right, cool, I get it, it's cool. So you're only allowed 3 rope breaks, and one of the coolest things, and it was pretty smart how he did it, was that he attacked Willie Yuta right away, and he attacked him by the ropes, and he wound up doing a lot of submission holds where it used up Willie Yuta's rope breaks, and commentary brought that to everybody's attention. Shout out to Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman. They brought that up, and really like how Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccaboni really emphasize that. They're like, hey, that's pretty smart, because after the 3 rope breaks are up, if Willie Yuta is in another position where he's by the ropes and Daniel Garcia has him in a hold, the ref cannot break it. Daniel Garcia could keep that hold in as long as he wants, and it's like, ooh, that's good. Ooh, this is interesting. He did it right away in the match, where it's just like, ooh, man, is Willie Yuta going to hang on? Because Daniel Garcia is very good at submission holds, and from the work that we've seen him do in AEW, and a couple of the Ring of Honor previews that we've seen this year. So it's just like, damn, Daniel Garcia might defeat Willie Yuta. This is going to be interesting. So you had that. Then there was a shot of Trent Seven. Yes, Trent Seven, who made his debut on AEW Rampage yesterday. He was at ringside, so they got a shot of that. At a certain point in the match, you had Garcia doing a surfboard on the ropes. Then he wound up executing it into a dragon sleeper, which was, man, that was so good. Then later on in the match, you had a sharpshooter by Daniel Garcia. Then Yuta, he had no rope breaks, and he wound up flipping that into, or countering it into, a crossface. Got out of that, and then he got Garcia into a submission hold, and the infamous Blackpool Combat Club elbows, because they're the only ones that pretty much do it. Garcia, Claudio, Yuta, and Moxley. And as it's going on, he's just elbowing Garcia, and it's like, all right, you're going to do it, and then continue the match. And commentary mentions, hey, Garcia's not, he's passing out. Oh my God, he's not going to continue. And the ref rings the bell. Willie Yuta is the new Ring of Honor Pure Champion because Daniel Garcia just passed out. And it's like, man, that's a really interesting way, and a good interesting way to end the match, because you didn't expect it. Most of the time when that move happens, we've seen it with Danielson, Claudio, Moxley, and Yuta. It always leads to some more chain wrestling or more submission holds, and then usually the finish is right around the corner, but not this one. It was just like, man, he just man, he had to execute, man, maybe 12 elbow strikes, and Daniel Garcia and of course after the match, the honor code, and Daniel Garcia kicks the title and gives his title to him. He doesn't shake his hand or anything and walks away. So I don't know. Let's see where this goes with Willie Yuta as the new Ring of Honor World Champion. I do think, now that I think about it, so Daniel Garcia lost, Jericho lost. Could we be seeing, fingers crossed, could we be seeing the breakup of the Jericho Appreciation Society? One can only hope. Man, one can only hope. Garcia lost and Jericho lost, so I hope it doesn't lead to Jericho and Garcia being in a tag team match against Yuta and Claudio as revenge. Jericho, this needs to go away. This has been a feud since June. It just needs to end already. End it already. Please, it needs to stop already. Then we get to what many consider the main event of this show. It wasn't the main event, but this, man, I gotta say, I have enjoyed the 3 matches that the Briscoes and FTR have had this year. Supercard of Honor. Trying to think of the other name of the pay-per-view that they did that is, oh my god, it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember. The other Ring of Honor pay-per-view and Final Battle. They have had, like I said, they have had match of the year, 3 match of the years. Makes sense. Because each match, the first match was just a classic. Like everyone was like, "That's a match of the year." Mind you, that was back in March, April. That was around WrestleMania. Yeah, that was WrestleMania weekend, and they're like, "That's the match of the year." Then their second match happened. They're like, "Bro, this is just as good as the first one." And this one happened, and everyone's like, "Man, this is just as good, if not better, than the first 2 matches." And shout out to the Briscoes and FTR. I know there was a PWI ranking as far as tag teams, and they had the Usos number 1, but I'm sorry. That's PWI's list and everything, but everybody knows the best tag team this year that have had bangers after bangers and just crazy tag matches, not only in AEW, not only in Ring of Honor. They've had matches on the Independents. They had at AAA, at New Japan. So that's the tag team, man. And the run this was a match, man. Now, mind you, this is a double dog collar match, and like the title of this video, this was wrestling, man. This was a wrestling match. This wasn't a pro wrestling match. This wasn't a sports entertainment match. This was a wrestling match. Rasslin. This was a wrestling match. So the way this match started, and I like the way it started, it had the dog collars. You know, you had Cash Wheeler with Mark Briscoe. You had Jay Briscoe and Dex. They were chained together. And once they rung that bell, it was brawling. It was chairs. They used the chains on it. Like they were whipping each other with the chains. They were fighting in the crowd. And just, there's a saying, it's beautiful chaos. There you go. It was just beautiful chaos in this match to start off, and man, I loved it. And of course, it got to the point where all 4 guys are just busted open, bleeding. And I know some people are like, "Oh my god, it's just too much blood." But think about it. They're having a match with chains. They're using weapons. At some point, you're gonna be busted open. At some point, especially if it's a rivalry, you want to win, and things like that. Like, it's gonna happen. But man, this was a fun match. Man, you had "This is awesome" chants. You had as E. Riccomboni said, you had dual chants, Dim Boys and FTR chants. And I would say it was this match where the pay-per-view went to another level, because this crowd, like, most of the match, they were standing. Like, most of other matches, they were into the other matches. But this is where there's into the matches, and then there's like this maximum level, like you're into the match. Like, this match is like, it's so wild and this beautiful chaos that you're just like, yo, man, this is dope. And I mean, this match did not disappoint. You had Cash Wheeler do the gory special with the chain on Jay Briscoe. Like, he had him hanging with the chain over the rope. Like, man, this was so physical. Then they teased the actually, no, they didn't. They teased Mark Briscoe going through the table, which led to Cash Wheeler pulling Mark Briscoe, where he pulled him off of the apron, where he landed to a pile of chairs, which was nasty. Then you had at a certain point in the match, pile driver on the chairs by Dax Hardwood. Um, man, there was just a lot of stuff that you're just like, man, this was the reason why I also say it's beautiful chaos was because it wasn't an overuse of weapons. It was just using the weapons they put out. They used it at the right time, and then that was it. And then they went to another spot, and then like it wasn't an overuse of weapons. It was just they were just brawling and fighting. Like this was so much fun. Then you had Mark Briscoe. Actually, no. After the pile driver on the chairs by Dax, you had Jay Briscoe. He countered and I forgot what movie actually was. At this time, I'm like watching and live tweeting at the same time, and all you seen was Jay Briscoe have a chain around Dax Hardwood's mouth, and he has him in like the submission hold. And man, this was again another aspect of beautiful chaos. You had Cash Wheeler trying to get in the ring, but you had Mark Briscoe pulling the chain. Now, mind you, their chain it's a dog color match, so the chains are linked to the four men. So you have Cash Wheeler's chain linked to Jay Briscoe or Mark Briscoe. So he's pulling them, and you see Cash Wheeler. He's just like he's reaching, like, oh man, he's trying to get in the ring to break up the pin. And you see Dax Hardwood. He has the chain like this, and he's fighting, and he's reaching for Cash, and like they can't reach, and then he just taps, and that was it. That was the match, and the Briscoes are the new Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. Man, this was a match, man. Like, the Briscoes, they already have a resume of being one of the greatest tag teams of all time. FTR this year have already put their place as one of the greatest tag teams of all time. This year alone, man, the Briscoes and FTR, arguably, all three of their matches, if you could put a collection of matches as match of the year, you could put the Briscoes and FTR. For me personally, the Briscoes and FTR, all three of their matches are match of the year. I don't see any other match that comes close to all three of their matches. And the reason why I say that is because these two teams it was literally a trilogy, and the first match is different from the second and the third match. The second match is different from the first match and the third match, and the third match is different from the second and the first match. Three totally different matches, but like I said, a beautiful chaos where it's just like, once the match finishes, you're just like, damn, that was some good wrestling. Like, wow. And I look forward to what's in store for FTR and Briscoes in 2023. I know there's FTR, there's word as far as their contract and everything. Man, I'm looking forward to 2023 because there's still more teams for FTR to wrestle against. And also, we got to look forward to FTR at Wrestle Kingdom. That's going to be fun. So, like I said, man, I'm looking forward to 2023 with these two teams because, man, if 2022 was like this, I can only imagine how 2023 is going to be for these two tag teams. And shout out to them, man, because that was an impressive, man, that was an amazing match, man. I was so entertained and just, I did tweet, I was like, man, this match should have main evented this show because how could you top this? And you know what? I can't say they didn't top it, but it was really entertaining what wound up topping this afterwards. But shout out to the Briscoes and FTR. Post-match, you get the Gun Club. They attack FTR. Then the Briscoes come out and make the save. So now it's starting to look like we might get the Briscoes and FTR versus the Gun Club and another tag team we possibly haven't seen. I don't know who it is. Comment below who you think might be a tag team that will feud against the Briscoes and FTR, because logically it does. After 3 matches, it's like, okay, they got each other's respect. Like, they're going to possibly wrestle with each other. So, I don't know. Comment below what you guys think. Then you got Juice Robinson versus Samoa Joe. This was Samoa Joe back in the day, man. The Samoa Joe that we've come to love, where he's just this beast that merciless and similar to how he was in Impact Wrestling, where he was just this monster that just beat the hell out of everybody. And shout out to Juice Robinson, because this was a solid match. There was, a few points where it was back and forth, but Samoa Joe was just a beast, man. Started off with Joe is gonna kill you chants. You had Tony Deppen at ringside, so Tony Deppen versus Samoa Joe. That is going to be a really cool match, because I've seen Tony Deppen wrestle before live, and that would be a solid match. So you had that. Like I said, Joe was dominant during this match. There was a point in the match where Juice Robinson got a little bit of an advantage doing a spine buster, but didn't work. Joe wound up executing a gut wrench, then switched it up into a STF submission hold, got out of it, wound up a little bit later on. He had Juice Robinson on the top turnbuckle, put him in the muscle buster, boom, hit it, 1, 2, 3. Samoa Joe is still the Ring of Honor television champion. So Joe's getting that swagger back. Like, this is a really fun time in AEW ROH right now, because you're starting to get a lot of wrestlers that are starting to get their swagger and their momentum. And when you have that, not only in one wrestler, but several wrestlers, that's when the product becomes very entertaining and just like, ooh, all right, this is fun. I look forward to watching this, and I look forward to Samoa Joe, not only in the ring, but man, I look forward to him cutting those promos, because man, the promos he was cutting in WWE, when they would let him, man, please give him the mic. And man, if we can, I hope, by some chance, we get some interaction between MJF and Samoa Joe, because they do have history going back in NXT. There's an infamous photo and video of Samoa Joe walking down the aisle and pushing MJF in the, behind him, like, no, you're not that. So it'd be a great callback, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's in the plans, but man, that'd be really cool. Then we get the main event. You got Claudio Castagnoli and Jericho. Many people, including myself, were like, I want Claudio to win, but it looks like Chris Jericho's going to win. And boy, were we wrong, and I'm happy I was wrong. You had, at the start of the match, you had Jericho chase the announce team away. Claudio did his infamous uppercut move. Brain locker, forgive me, guys. Then you had Jericho suplex Claudio from the apron to the floor. That looked nasty, man. In the last 10 years, I've seen a lot of wrestlers do that move, and as a wrestling fan, I wish they would stop doing that move, because that does not look pleasurable. And it's not supposed to be, oh my God, it feels good or anything, but it just doesn't look entertaining. Like, it looks like you're really hurting somebody. And when he did, I was like, man, me personally, as a wrestling fan, I do not like that move, because it's, granted, being a professional wrestler is dangerous, but man, that move, man, that's one wrong, an inch to the left, an inch to the right, an inch early, a few, like, there's a lot of things that, man, I don't like that move. But he did it. Then you had Jericho counter Claudio's swing into a wall of Jericho, which that was really cool how he did that. Then you had 2.0 Matt Menard and Angelo Parker. They came out. Matt Menard gave Jericho the bat. He hit Claudio with the bat, and everyone you see at ringside there in the crowd, they're just like, oh, crap, Jericho's going to win. And Claudio's going to be with the Jericho Appreciation Society. So the ref counts 1, 2, and thank God Claudio escaped. Thank God he got out of that. So he got out of that. Then Claudio blocks the Judas effect. And this was one of the most awesome and unexpected things to happen in this match. So Claudio blocks the Judas effect, and he does his infamous big swing. And normally he does it 10, 12 times. No, he did it 32 times. And I would say around the 30th time he did it, Chris Jericho tapped out during the big swing, which I do not recall any person tapping out during Claudio's big swing. Even when he was in WWE, I do not recall a wrestler tapping out in the middle of the big swing, which was a shock. And if you go back and watch and you see everyone's face, they're just like, Jericho, like what? Like he tapped, like what? He tapped out of that? And that was insane. So Claudio Castagnoli is the new Ring of Honor World Champion. Looking forward to see where this goes with Claudio and the opponents that he's going to be facing going into 2023. Yeah, that shocked me. I did not anticipate that match ending that way on the big swing. It was a cool way to end the pay-per-view because it popped the crowd. The crowd was ecstatic. They were shocked. And then on top of that, they wanted Claudio to win. So it was just a double for that. It's like, oh man, we get double. Like, he did the big swing and Jericho topped out and he's a new, like, oh man, this is so cool. And really cool moment. And you could see the crowd was just happy, ecstatic. The infamous Ring of Honor confetti coming down and he's taking pictures at ringside. And that's what closed the show. And that's a great way to end a pay-per-view, which is not only Ring of Honor's last pay-per-view of the year, but also AEW, considering that, like I said, it's both owned by Tony Khan. So, nice way to end the pay-per-view. I mean, you got Athena, your new Women's World Champion. You have the Briscoes as your new Tag Team Champions. You have Gates of Agony and Brian Cage as your new 6-man Tag Team Champions. You have Wuri Yuta as your new Pure Champion, and you got Claudio Castagnoli as your new World Champion. So 5 title changes on your last pay-per-view of the year. Looking forward to seeing what's next for Ring of Honor in 2023, the new TV deal, and of course, as I mentioned earlier in this review, that I heard some things as far as the Honor Club and everything. Just want to see them how they detail that and everything, because of course in media scrums, things can be said, but not a lot of detail can be behind it. So take it with a grain of salt. It's like, all right, when they really fully explain this, then I'll get into it. But overall, man, this was a fun pay-per-view. A nice way to end 2023. I'm looking forward to how AEW's Winter is Coming is going to happen, and how things are going to end with AEW. And I think it's very poetic that the way the year ended started with Tony Khan and Ring of Honor is very interesting, because there was a lot of uncertainty with Ring of Honor and what would happen. Would it return? Would someone buy it? Would WWE buy it? And the video library, and then of course Tony Khan and Cody Rhodes and that infamous tweet with about Big Swole, and just all that drama started off at the beginning of the year. And to see where everything has gone in 11 months to where it is now, it's like, man, this has been a long year for Tony Khan and Ring of Honor. So looking forward to seeing where this goes. And man, that FTR Briscoes match, FTR and Briscoes are the match of the year. Their first match, second match, third match, it's match of the year. Plain and simple. No argument. No match comes close to those 3 matches at all. So that is my review for the December 10th Ring of Honor Final Battle pay-per-view. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up on YouTube. Hit the notification so that you're notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Man, thank you guys so much for being patient. Next year, got some stuff in the works for House of Wrestling on YouTube and stuff like that. So be on the lookout. And man, thank you guys, all you subscribers who watch my reviews and everything. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And man, got a lot of pro wrestling to enjoy. Wrestle Kingdom, AEW Dynamite in Los Angeles, Royal Rumble, and the road to WrestleMania and Revolution and all that. Man, first 3 months of the year, beautiful. Christmas for wrestling fans. So thank you guys so much. Enjoy professional wrestling. I'm out.